Welcome, welcome, one and all. If there is one question that a lot of people want to have answered, and that we just don't seem to have an answer to, is where did all the terrorists go? I'm curious. I'm sure you're curious too. We were told that there was loads of them. I mean, like 20 to 30,000 in the UK alone. They all just were sitting dormant, waiting for, I don't know, a big klaxon to go off so they could just orchestrate terror, blow up concerts and maim children and explode buses and stuff. But then, like a couple of years ago, they sort of just vanished. They just disappeared. And then suddenly it was like, no, we don't need to worry about them. We need to worry about white supremacy and the far right. Like, really? And who are these people? They've never really given any proper identification of who these people are. This new terror threat. It's just all sort of vague. There's like one or two people that go, see, there's one. Well, I'll answer the question, why the terrorists all disappeared. It's very easy. Something that doesn't exist cannot disappear. Now, whoa, you're saying, whoa. All right, nutter. What is this? Yeah, Rothschilds did 9/11. Hey? It was Bill Gates. I know what you're thinking. No. I'm not saying there weren't any terrorist cells or there weren't people suspected of being terrorists. I'm just saying that I would strongly argue that probably those 20 to 30,000 were just nutters and dreamers, and a few of them probably were a legitimate threat. That's what I'm going to suggest to you. Because a terror plot that doesn't come into fruition is still a terror plot that has been thwarted, as the term goes, isn't it? Thwarted. Do you ever say thwarted? I don't. That's why I'm never going to say it again. So what do I mean? What do I mean? It's easy. You see, terrorism, for starters, the word terrorist, especially Islamic terrorists, we were bombarded with this for so long, for the best part of 2 decades, that it just became meaningless. Like, the word terrorist doesn't really hold any weight anymore. It doesn't really terrify people anymore. It's like, oh, terrorism again. It's just boring, isn't it? We're so desensitized to the whole matter, and, a lot of people have just got fed up with it, and, we even reached stages where there's terrorist defenders, who are actively wandering around and, have no sense of irony at all. Or is it self-awareness? I don't know. I'm rambling. So, kind of, in a way, the replacement for terrorist has been white supremacist or far right or alt-right. This is the new buzzword. This is the buzzword. No, it's not just used by the media to a hell of a degree. It's used by the police and the security services, and by politicians also, and activists. I mean, it's used right across the board. And basically, it's manufactured. The same way terrorism was kind of manufactured. It's not saying there weren't any terrorists, or like they were all CIA operatives, or none of this wacky shit. As in, there was people who had ideas. Like I said, if you label something a terror cell, and then you disband that terror cell and put them all in jail, you've effectively stopped terrorism, and you've locked up terrorists. But they're only terrorists because you said they were, whereas they could have just been twats, weirdos, Dungeons and Dragons Club. I don't know. I'll give you some examples. Let's go deep into this, right? Now, for starters, there's the juggalos. I don't even know who the juggalos are. All right, they're not widely known. They're not a widely known group of people. It's mainly an American thing. But and you may not even be familiar with the rap group from Detroit called Insane Clown Posse. And there's a duo that wear clown makeup and rap about, the usual kind of rappity rap stuff. It's hardcore stuff. They're not rapping about blowing up balloons and custard pies and stuff. They're rapping about violence. As one of them is called Violent J. The Juggalos are their fan base, like the Barbs and what are Beyonce's fan group called? What are the Beyonce fans called? Oh, yeah, the Heaven's Gate cult. They're not like that. They're not like that. Or the Little Monsters. Remember Lady Gaga's Little Monsters? Remember she cried? She was like, I love my Little Monsters. But, if you've made hundreds of millions of dollars, I'd love them too. So basically, they're fans, and they have a very strong identity, and they're kind of weirdos. And I mean this in the respectful term of weirdos, okay? Because I use the term weirdo in two ways. Weirdo is like the weirdo shit, like when they have drag queens reading stories for children. That's weirdo shit. But weirdos are like me. We're aliens, just people who just don't quite fit in. And a lot of them are, these sort of loner types, and it's a fan base. It's a fan base for a hardcore rap collective who wear clown makeup. That's all you're going to need to know. These people aren't dangerous. They're not the same sort of fan base that the Migos would have. It's not the sort of fan base. It's not. Do you understand what I'm saying? And they have an event every year. It's like a festival. I can't remember what it's called. It's like something Juggalos, and it's all just silly fun, and they're just to use the terminology that other people would use, just so you can get an idea in your head. And for those of you that know what they are, I'm sorry for wasting your time. White trash. Now, this isn't the terms I use. I don't use their fucking terms, but that will conjure up an image in your brain. Trailer trash. Now, this is no disrespect to these group of people at all. I'm just saying that's a media terminology that people will be familiar with. Shoot me. I didn't invent this shit. I'm attacking it, all right? I'm on your side. Now, the Juggalos are actually listed for quite a long time as a violent gang. As a gang by the FBI. They are a gang. The same as the Crips, the Bloods, Latin Kings. You name a gang that you go, ooh, that's a gang. It's one of them. The Burger Bar Boys. Think of a gang that's scary. And you go, yeah, they're on the same list as them. And these are people that just dress up in clown makeup and, like that kind of music. They're listed as a fucking gang. Now, I'll tell you what they actually, what do they say about them? So the FBI considered them to be a dangerous street gang, and that's official. And they said they were a loosely organized hybrid gang who commit sporadic and individualistic crime. Now, considering the demographic of people who are juggalos, yes, sporadic crime. But what's sporadic crime? That could be smoking weed, do you know what I mean? Loitering. There's all kinds of things are crimes. There's many crimes out there. There's lots of silly crimes. But let's not forget this. Is this enough to justify them as some sort of dangerous group? No, not at all. Go look them up and you tell me if you're walking down the street and you saw 15 Bloods and 15 Juggalos, which side of the road are you going to be walking on, all right? Unless you're racist, of course, then, it's easier for you to determine which way you're going to go. You may hate black people or hate white people, and that's your problem. I don't know what's wrong with you. Why are you so weird? So just look it up. Now, this isn't the first time that, the police sort of have to justify what they're doing or show that they're doing something even when they're not doing anything. So labeling the Juggalos and making them out to be like their MS-13 is pretty fucking off. Okay? It's it's just bizarre. And, the police in the UK have done similar things. I don't think, actually, no, bring it back to, America and rap. I mean, in America, they have the hip-hop police. And the FBI as well were following around Tupac. They were following around NWA, I think. They were following around Biggie Smalls because they considered their music to be dangerous. Dangerous enough to warrant them to be paid to follow these people around. Think, how stupid is that, right? Is that not dumb? Is that like, right, we need to follow Tupac around. Why? I don't know. He's talking in his music about stuff. Like, this is what they're doing. There's people in a boardroom. They're making these decisions. And it's being paid for with people's tax money. Well, you think about what your tax money's going towards. You don't expect it to be, millions spent on following rappers around, do you? I mean, is there not something better you could be doing with the money? No, we need to follow rappers around. And rap fans, like, why? Why? What are they up to? I don't know, they got some very dangerous merch. Like, what are you doing? So, in the UK, we had similar situations where the police just did some heinous things, right? So Solid Crew, if you're not familiar with Solid Crew, Solid Crew were a very big two-step garage. When the two-step garage bubble, when it was massive in the early noughties, Solid Crew, one of the first all-black rap collectives of British origin to go to number one. It was crazy. It was a cool time, and they're on top of the pops. And you've never seen that many black British people on television before at one time. It was quite an event. It was like, they're wearing hoods and stuff and chains. Who are these people? Black people on TV back in the day used to be Andy Peters and Dave Benson Phillips. Hood people weren't really on television. Not British hood people. We didn't think they existed. And then suddenly there was millions of them. I was like, where the fuck did these people come from? Apparently they've been there for years. I was like, this is crazy. And people were very surprised. But Solid Crew, were number one. They also had a number one platinum selling album. They went fucking platinum, right? Solid Crew were big. Now, this is before the music industry took a nosedive off a cliff, when touring didn't make as much money as it does now, because it is the bread and butter. Well, except I don't think anyone's paying for Zoom gigs anytime soon. But any big act that has number one records and sells platinum is going to go on tour. Now, Solid Crew had, they used to do the rave scene, obviously, before then. Solid Crew had one performance at the Astoria in the West End, and there was a shooting there. All right, there was a shooting there. Now, I could go into another story about that, but we'll save that for another time. I know some things. So there's a shooting at the Astoria, one incident, one shooting, and suddenly Solid Crew were banned from playing any venue in the United Kingdom because of this one incident, because they attract gang culture. They even try to make them out to be heads up of a gang. Even Mega Man, with that incident, the co-founder of Solid Crew, found himself in some deep water when he was on murder charges, because they were saying he was like a mastermind of gangs. Right? He was acquitted by law, and if you know something different, I don't want to know. But the point is that they did that Solid Crew, and they did it to the whole garage scene, so much so that when garage started morphing into grime, these terms were bad news if you wanted to put on an event. Grime nights, garage nights, because the association with gang culture was there, and the police could just shut it down because they said these are events for crack-selling gangsters. And the police just said that, and the media helped them along, and thus they were banned. They were labelled. This was labelled as gang music. This was labelled as gang events. I mean, there was even an event in America years ago when Pharrell Williams was part of the Neptunes, and when they had their record label that the Clips was signed to, I can't remember, but they used to use the Spock, the Vulcan sign with the hand. If you're listening to this, you know the Vulcan sign with the two fingers. I mean, with all your fingers put into a V type thing. And the record label was inspired by Star Trek. Pharrell Williams it's Pharrell Williams. He'd done a song called I'm Happy. This is this guy, all right? But anyway, they had a concert, and they had that hand sign, and it was in Virginia, their home. And they had that hand sign on the poster, and they shut that down because they thought this was a gang sign. This is what the police and the FBI and MI6, all of them, this is the kind of behavior that they get up to. Now, so there's some examples for you, but it goes better than that, because if you're unfamiliar, but there's Chris Morris, who is one of the best satirists of the last 20, 30 years, has made two films. One is Four Lions, if you're familiar with Four Lions, which is about an inept terrorist cell from England. And his most recent film is called, I had to write it down because I haven't watched it yet. What's it called? This is great, isn't it? Oh yeah, The Day Shall Come. Both films are they're kind of the same type deal, because it deals with how these terrorist labels are twisted by the media and by authorities. That's politicians, national security services, and law enforcement. One set in England, which is the Four Lions, The Day Shall Come is set in Miami, in America. Now, they're both about the same subject matter because he did vast research on both, just showing that this is preposterous. So Four Lions dealt with the fact that this was just a small group of idealistic young men who really didn't know what the fuck they were doing, as were many groups, it turned out. But they'd label it a terrorist cell, and then they'd bust them, and they make a big song and dance of it, and say, look, we're winning the war on terror by arresting these lunatics, when really they hadn't done fuck all, to be honest with you. Now, there's many examples that you can use that relate to the whole Muslim terrorist created narrative. Because let's face it, look, the war on terror was a constructive narrative in the fucking first place. Terrorism had been going on for decades. It's always been there. In fact, the peak of terrorism was in the 70s. It was not in the last 2 decades as they'll make it out to be. You can go look up the statistics, okay? All right, you can talk about ISIS and you can talk about Al-Qaeda, blah, 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 but that's a different situation altogether. We're talking about terrorist attacks in foreign lands, as in not the lands where ISIS are. Do you understand what I'm saying? Across Europe and shit. Okay, but during that time, now we had the war on terror, and it was very terrifying, and everyone's got to do their bit, you can't leave a bag unattended and all this fucking nonsense, and, they're going to watch you through the television because everyone needs to be kept safe by being, intruded on. This kind of nonsense, okay? And there was many stories about these terrorist cells that were going on who said they were well dangerous. That turned out that they probably weren't. I mean, there was even the incident of the family who went to Disneyland, and they videoed it. Because it's a day out in Disneyland, and this is Muslim family going around videoing their day out in Disneyland. They got held up on terrorist charges because they said, well, they're scoping the place out to commit a terrorist attack. It's like, they're at fucking Disneyland. There's many examples of this. And don't forget, you got to think how many of these people that were being monitored were just dreamers and ideologues. Do you know what I mean? But I'll get to that in a second. This is what you got to keep in mind. How legitimate were all these people that got busted in the end? Because the story behind the latest film, which is The Day Shall Come, is actually about a group of people called, what are they called? The Liberty City 7. Now, I know it sounds like some sort of Miami-based booty-shaking clique, but it's not. This is a terrorist organization, a terrorist cell, as they said. Now, they were predominantly a bunch of black Catholics. And they had this big idea that they were going to blow up the Sears Tower in Chicago and launch a ground war. And the way they were going to go about this, they were going to ride on horses into Chicago. This is their plan. They were going to ride on horses and collapse the Sears Tower. And the city would be drowned in an ensuing tidal wave, and that's when they'd make their big move. Okay. But the thing is, they made these plans, but they had no way of carrying it out because they had no fucking money or any idea how they were really going to do it. So obviously all these groups are being monitored by the FBI, because that's where your money's going towards. And obviously they can't find enough terrorists to justify all these funds. So they just manufactured this group into a proper terrorist group. So the FBI, what they actually did, they posed as Al-Qaeda operatives, and they offered to give them $50,000. Which is basically entrapment. But obviously the entrapment laws in America are very different to the ones in the UK. In fact, in America it's like, well, I mean, this is the country where, like, they get some hot policewoman to dress up as a prostitute. And as soon as she's sucking the dick, going, right, you're under arrest for soliciting prostitution. I mean, it's a fucking weird law. But Chris Morris, when he was looking into creating this film, he got inspired by that and found hundreds of stories that fit the same narrative. As in, there's these weirdo little groups that are kind of up to something or have these big ideas but haven't really done anything. And then they create a narrative around it and turn them into a terrorist cell. Like I said, when they probably weren't in the first place. Because let's look at the facts, right? You could have plenty of people out there who would probably, people write down affirmations of killing all their friends. Or people going, yeah, I'm going to make this big idea, and I'm going to blow up the Houses of Parliament. I am. Oh, I'm like bloody Guy Fawkes. I am. And these people have no intention of ever doing anything, or they don't even have the knowledge base to do anything, or even the motivation to do anything. But they're still being monitored. People be in chat rooms, being someone, yeah, I'm gonna blow up synagogue, I am. Yeah, you want to join in? I don't know, I'm busy next Thursday. All these people think about how many people just yap shit all the time. How many people do you yap shit? So, I'm gonna fucking whoop his ass when I see him again. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna fucking do him, man. I'm gonna do him. Then they see him and they're like, oh, you right, Kev? I thought you were gonna whip his ass. It's all on tape he's gonna whip his ass. It's all on tape. It's all been monitored. It's all been written down. When someone's like, oh, he says he's gonna blow up the Houses of Parliament. Without factoring the fact that people just yap shit, or people have got these big silly ideas that they're never going to put into practice. You know, like someone says, I'm going to have a garment business. What is it? Well, it's made out of used nappies. What? It's like, I just don't have good business ideas. But I like to write stuff down. Think how many people have been monitored, interrogated, and some even jailed because they've concocted the narrative that they are terrorists. They just labelled them as terrorists when they probably fucking weren't. Not even close. And think about how many times they label people as terrorists anyway, who initially are just loon bags. Think about it. So many times some lunatic will do something and suddenly it's like, oh, this is blatantly an act of terrorism. It's like, all right. Is that right? I mean, you're talking about acts that are committed by, lone operatives, people that are very, disillusioned and angry, they're mentally ill, or they're thrill seekers, or they're just total fantasists. There's not much difference between some people, like the guy who went into the Pulse nightclub in Orlando and shot, it was a gay club, the guy that shot everyone up and said, yeah, I'm with ISIS, by the way, bam! Killed like 48 people or whatever it was, 50. It was a lot. I mean, that guy was clearly mentally ill. What's the difference between that guy and a school shooter? He says, I hate everyone at school. I haven't got a date at the prom. And then they get an AR-15 and just go fucking clap all their classmates. Is there much difference? Lunatics will be inspired by many different things to commit atrocities. Films inspire lunatics to do things. There's countless examples of people being inspired by films or books. The guy that killed John Lennon. All the incidents that happen around Clockwork Orange. The kids that killed Jamie Bolger, although we're not too sure if it was inspired by Child's Play. But, there's a lot of examples of people committing atrocities who are just spurred on or have a little spark from something. Now, even if it is just looking at ISIS, going, yeah, that's great. Do you know what I mean? Or some idiot will watch a video by some far-right lunatic, some anti-Semite going, yeah, the Jews done it all, don't you know? Have you not read the protocols of the Elders of Zion? No, but I've got a gun. These are fucking nutters, mate. There's so many. Look, the guy that drove into all the people outside Houses of Parliament on Westminster Bridge, killed 4 people and killed that police officer. He was mentally ill. They said he was mentally ill, but no, he's a terrorist. He's mentally ill, bruv. The guy that ploughed into all the Muslim people coming out of the Finsbury Park Mosque, he was mentally ill too. No, he's a terrorist now. Okay, bloody hell. You know, well, these random acts committed by lunatics that you can easily label it as terrorism, because that's terrorism. And the thing is, everyone plays this game. This is the identity politics game of terrorism, and it's all done. People want to sell their narrative, to justify their existence, to justify the reason they're getting given money, or to justify why they should be fucking talking. This happens all the time. If you look at what happened, going back to the Pulse nightclub shooting, the amount of people that try to jump on that narrative was ridiculous. So they're going, well, this is a terrorist incident. And then the left wing feel very uncomfortable about Muslims being labelled as terrorists. Even when they are proper terrorists, they don't really like it. They go, no, they're freedom fighters. There are probably so many people out there, with their weird hair and their weirdo ideas. And they heard about Ariana Grande going, well, that's what you get for stealing oil from Iraq. Some dickhead was out there and said that. And I hope you slapped them. Anyway, but then you had Owen Jones was on Sky News going, can we not label this what it is? it's a homophobic attack. It's like, why are we picking and choosing the reason? Okay, it's a do we have to, right, we have to specifically categorize this as a homophobic attack. No, yes, but it's a terrorist attack. It's like, all right. Everyone just wanted to cling on to it. No, it's got to be my attack. We need to label this. Because then you get the tally chart of who's been attacked and everyone gets their oppression points. Well, we're not safe. All right, so what do we list this as? If everything was just listed as an incident of mental illness, then no one would be able to play ball at all, would they? No, this is an attack on transvestites. No, he's just a nutter. No, we've got to have our points. Everyone plays that fucking game. As soon as the guy plowed into, because there was rampant terrorist attacks going on in 2017, so as soon as that guy plowed into a bunch of Muslim people coming out of, Muslim, it's just Muslims. I don't know what I was trying to think of. People, after prayers, they're just gone to pray and they just mind their business. Some lunatic comes and plows into them. The left-wing people just so excited that happened. Okay, yeah, we told you. Yeah. As soon as they see a white paedophile as well, they get really excited. They're like, yes, we got one, yay. That guy who went and shot up the mosque in fucking New Zealand. They came. These people at Owen Jones came in their pants and went, oh yes, brilliant. You think I'm joking? This is true. This is how these people operate. They're just like, oh, good, yes, great. Lunatic. They're lunatics too. But the point is, the school shooter, the nightclub shooter, the man in the car, some little douchebag who builds a bomb that doesn't work properly going, I'm going to be an ISIS terrorist, isn't an ISIS terrorist. They even did, talking about people that you probably don't know, there's Taxstone. Now, Taxstone's a hip-hop podcaster from Brooklyn. Taxstone is still in prison, I think, due to the Troy Ave shooting that happened a few years ago in a nightclub. If you're unfamiliar with it, you can go look it up. But they labelled Taxstone a blood because there's literally one interview where Taxstone is with Vlad TV, and this is what he says. He says, and he's like, so how did all the blood thing happen in New York? And he's like, well, one day I just put a red flag on and went, I'm a blood now. And now he's said, remember, the podcaster Taxstone, who was a known member of the Bloods. The guy literally said, I just wore a flag, I'm in the Bloods. Dave Chappelle made that joke in it. He said, if I walk into a place and shoot a bunch of people and just go, Wu-Tang, doesn't mean I'm part of the Wu-Tang clan. It's fucking true. But the thing is with the narrative that's going, and this is where it's all going. Because if you labelled so many people as Islamic terrorists because they tweeted, they could just tweet something. They could share one Facebook post, be a member of one forum, be associated with one guy. They're on the fucking list. And therefore, they can justify this narrative that there's loads of terrorists out there and we need to monitor them and we need more money. This is what they do all the time. They have to justify their existence. The media concocts the narrative. It's the war on terror. It's the war on white supremacy. The politicians go along with it too. And then the security services and the police are like, well, we need to see results now because there's a war going on against all these people. And I'm like, well, who are these fucking people? So they're going to have to label every motherfucker that's done whatever. The smallest thing, it'd be, a Muslim walked past a girl with a short skirt and went, ugh. And he's a terrorist now. Like that. A white guy walked past a girl in a burqa and went, ugh. He's a white supremacist now. They're all on the list. And you think this is jokes? This is how they're probably doing it. Because they need to see results. They need to justify their existence. If there are no terrorists, if there are no white supremacists, then you got to create them. And that's what they fucking did. Now, if you want to go into the whole ins and outs of who created ISIS and who, Shamima Begum, all these things, blah, 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 this is a different debate. What I'm talking about, the grand scheme of it. If you chip away at the numbers, you'll find a very low percentage of people who were to be worried about. That is what I fucking know is true, because I know how people work. Yeah. So I'm just looking at these notes here. I make notes now, by the way. Isn't it good? So going to the white supremacist thing, the reason all the terrorists have gone away now is because they've got a new bogeyman. And I've talked about this a lot, but I'll keep talking about it until people understand. There's a new bogeyman in town. He's the white supremacist man. Now the thing is, there are fuck all groups that promote white supremacy. But they will talk about all these incidents that happen. Well, a third of terrorist attacks are committed by white supremacists. Okay, well, what are they? And do you know what most of them are? In fact, pretty much 99.9% of them, lone gunmen, lone lunatics. There'll be the guy in Christchurch, Anders Breivik, the guy that shot up that black church in America. Every incident, go look at the news, the rise of far-right extremism, and it will just be lone lunatics. Well, he was on this forum that supports Hitler. It's like, yeah, of course he was. And they go, and this forum is the gang. Like, there's no organizations. This is the difference. You see, if you've got a small terror cell, okay, like 4 people, that's fuck all, okay. But if you've got a unit, if you've got something like ISIS, or you've got Al Qaeda in the Mediterranean, or all these offshoots of things, that's a legitimate terrorist cell, and then therefore you can go, here's a group of people who are well organized. You know, the Paris attacks were well organized. Even to an extent, you know, the Charlie Hebdo attacks was just by 2 lunatics themselves. Can you label that as a terrorist attack? Or is it just an attack by lunatics? But there are some attacks that are very well orchestrated and are definitely part of terrorist cells. But to say but they sort of concocted this network when it doesn't really exist. And a lot of these people are just lunatics. And I can keep saying this, they're lunatics. Anders Breivik's a lunatic. The guy in Christchurch was a lunatic. The guy that shot up that place, that church, he was a lunatic. But then they go, this is an example of the white supremacist terrorism we've been talking about. You know, a guy stabs a geezer on the London Underground and goes, Allah Akbar, terrorist. See, I told you they're everywhere. All right. A guy shoots someone who's black and he's white, and he once shared a Britain First meme. Oh, see, there's the white supremacists. I told you. Here they are. It's fucking created. It's manufactured, and it always has been. They just manufacture it. They just pick it out of thin air. They decide, well, these are the characteristics that we're going to have, and therefore we're going to justify everything we're doing. When really, you're not solving any problems. When you are prioritizing looking for a fucking bogeyman, then you're going to see it everywhere you want, because this is what you've been told to do. We need results on this. It's saying, yeah, but what about these terrorists? No, these are the results we need. Hence why there's probably shitloads of child trafficking going on, because what are their priorities? Their priorities are about buzzwords. We're living in a world of keywords. It's a keyword search. These people are like fucking Google AdWords now. The police, the FBI, the CIA, MI6, they're just buzzword people. Say, well, we need to be top ranked on Google. They're literally going for search rankings. How many buzzwords do you have in your enforcement policy? Do you know what I mean? It's like, this warrant doesn't have enough buzzwords on it. I'm not signing off on this. Okay, white supremacist, Islamic terrorist. It's a keyword search. I was like, well, people aren't that interested in child trafficking, so we'll let that one slide. Now, what should we do instead? All the people concerned about child trafficking, they're white supremacists too. They're very dangerous. I've seen the reports going, QAnon are like the most dangerous people in the world. I've seen that. I've seen articles saying that. What are you going to do about QAnon? Well, the people that don't like satanic paedophilia. Now, whether or not their beliefs are wacky, whether or not any of this is true, it probably isn't that true, is it? But it's fun for them. Let them have their fun. But to call them dangerous is a bit odd, because no one's attacked Tom Hanks. Okay, they wrote on his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, they wrote paedophile on it. That's about it. No one's tried to bazooka Oprah. No one's tried to fucking throw a petrol bomb at Bill Clinton, as far as I know. So, like, dangerous. Come off it, mate. But it's the buzzwords. These are the buzzwords. And you've seen the same thing doing what they're doing with Antifa. Obviously, Antifa is very loosely affiliated, but there are people who are like proud Antifa. But anyone who's in a black bloc group who are on that side of the political tribe is just instantly labeled Antifa now. Whereas are they, or anyone, or their BLM, they've blanketed everyone that's a nutter with this. It works the same ways. They're always playing the same fucking tricks. But the white supremacist thing is even more mental. But they haven't got a group to pin it on. They need a group. They try in the UK. They try to do it with National Action. National Action, and groups like Hope Not Hate just keep banging about all this stuff, and they're part of the problem too. They're going, we're Hope Not Hate. There's no justification for your weirdo existence. They're a bunch of communist lunatics, but they're just like, yeah. Have you not seen all the white supremacists? National Action have got less than 200 members nationwide, and I think they've done two things. Well, like one of them got arrested because they were posing as Hitler or something with a baby in the photo, and it's like child abuse. And then one guy attacked someone with a machete, and that's it. That's all they've done. But they make them out to be this hugely organised fucking. Well, it's not as. I mean, that isn't as many as the 20 to 30,000 alleged terrorists that we had. So why aren't they a priority anymore? Probably because they didn't exist. Probably because there was fuck all of them. It could be a 14-year-old boy. Don't forget you've got kids who've been put on terrorist lists for writing something in their fucking exercise book. Writing something actually, drawing a swastika in their fucking exercise book. Okay? He's a white supremacist. Off they go. This happened with Muslim kids too. He's got a photo of Jihadi John as his wallpaper on his phone. Right, he's a terrorist. Fucking put 30 days. 30 days without counsel. Off you go, cunt. This stuff fucking happens, man. People have been thrown in jail for sending out tweets for a couple of years. Right now, you've got a journalist, the guy that interviewed David Starkey, when David Starkey said that the transatlantic slavery was not genocide, which is semantic, which is like, define what genocide is. It's not really that controversial a statement. All right, it rubs some people up the wrong way. But the journalist who interviewed him, not David Starkey, the journalist. And here I'm going to have to defend journalists. Ridiculous. You got me defending police a few weeks ago, now I'm defending journalists. Darren Grimes is his name. He's the guy that interviewed David Starkey. He is now... See, this is tragic. He's under investigation on suspicion of stirring up racial hatred. I am reading that verbatim. For interviewing him. He is being investigated. What? What the fuck? That's mental. So next up, if you're one of these budding journalists who want to do some hard-hitting interviews, going, I'm going to interview Richard Spencer or the Black Hebrew Israelites, well, you might want to give that, you might want to reconsider doing that, because you too may be banged up for inciting racial hatred. Now, where does this all lead to? Because obviously, we've had ISIS, we've had Al-Qaeda. So where's the white supremacist group? Where's the group they can point at and go, it's them. They're the ones. We got the Proud Boys, haven't you? Got the Proud Boys, you got QAnon. Here's the two groups. Even though the Proud Boys are were started based on kind of a joke thing, and it's very tongue-in-cheek what they do. Go look at the videos about talk to the Proud Boys. Don't look at the media hit pieces. Just look at them, and it's like, what this lot? These are all right. They're rough and ready. They're fighting. Well, the football, like football supporters. I mean, what the fuck? What? So they're mainly working class people, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know. What? Working class people fighting. I mean, what? What? The sun goes down at night. I'm not going to explain who the Proud Boys are, because I've explained way too many things during this. You can do your own research. You'll know who they are. But they're the ones on the radar now. All it will take is one of them to share a post or wanted them to be involved in some sort of altercation. It could be an act of violence upon a minority, or sharing some sort of material. They just need that one thing that will have them put, because they're already on the radar, they will be put on a list of banned groups, on a list of terrorist organizations. Mark my words. It'll be them or another similar group. Because they haven't got anyone else to put on the fucking list. No one joins the KKK no more. That shit. Who the fuck is in the Ku Klux Klan? Where are they? You see, the last time they had... See, every time they have a little rally, there'll be like 10 of them, and then thousands of protesters to turn up, because that's the way the world is now. Like, walking around in a hood and burning crosses and saying, all M-bombs go home, go back to Africa, is just not that popular in 2020. It wasn't that popular in the fucking 90s. Okay? The only time you used to see Klan people was on Jerry Springer. And you just go, these people are ridiculous. Like, but they go, oh, we need to turn up and show the Klan what for. You see the neo-Nazi groups who go parading around on their little marches in England. There's more police and anti-fascist protest than there is. There'll be like 10 of them or 20 of them just saluting. Doing Nazi salute, going, see how? It's like, well, this is the most niche thing I've ever seen. But they'll say, look, here's this rally by neo-Nazis going on. And there'll be fuck all of them. And yet you'll have like pro-ISIS marches going on with thousands of people. Thousands. And they'll fucking... I mean, they used to talk about it. But as soon as they got bored with it, they stopped talking about it. This is the thing. It's not like shit wasn't going on. But they just got bored of it and people weren't afraid no more. So they were like, all right, it's the far right now. You know, we need our buzzwords to justify what we're doing. What's popular? It's literally it. Go look at some articles on Vox and tell us what the people are talking about. Go look at Twitter. You know, have you been investigating terrorists? This is MI. This is a meeting at MI6. Have you been doing them terrorist investigations? Oh yes, sir, but I can't find any. Just go on Twitter and look at some hashtags. There's your terrorists. Literally what they're doing now. Literally, these motherfuckers. There's like nothing going on. There's probably fuck all going on. It's so manufactured. And you just got to understand this is how it's been going on for a very long time. You know, there'll be the Proud Boys, Antifa, Al-Qaeda, ISIS. And the FBI will be monitoring them. All of them. It's tragic. It is tragic. White supremacy is the buzzword that replaced terrorism. It's just the new buzzword. That's all it is. That is what it is. Like, I mean, look, just because you've got some fantasies, you know, like the Liberty City 7, who are going to ride on horses to Chicago and blow up the Sears Tower. Just because you're talking about this in your wacky little group saying, yeah, this is what we're going to do, boys. Does that justify you getting 15 to 35 years for conjuring up a stupid idea? Does it? And to be given money for someone to pose. Hello, we're from Al-Qaeda. We heard about your wacky idea about riding on horseback to Chicago and drowning the place. Here's $50,000. This is really going on. In the same breath, they'll say, this terrorism thing's been manufactured and created. In the same breath, and then they'll go, we need to talk about white supremacy. That's what's really going on. And yet it's the same fucking thing. It's the same hoodwink. It's the same illusion. It's nonsense. It is nonsense. I've been around for too long and see how this has played out. For the last 20 years, just monitoring the shit and just going, oh my God, this is nonsense. The whole thing is nonsense. It's a nonsense. You know? It's like... They've probably been thwarting... Oh, I said thwarting again. Fuck. They've probably been thwarting so many non-terror plots by fantasists and idiots and inept people, or just saying, well, we think they're going to do this because they've been hanging around Madame Tussauds with a camera and they look a bit shifty. So they're on the terrorist list now. 30 days without counsel, we're going to interrogate these motherfuckers. If you're interrogated without legal counsel for 30 days and you ain't done fuck all, you'd admit to anything, wouldn't you? I would. You'd be like, look at, okay, what do I have to do? Suck a dick? No, you have to admit you're a terrorist. Okay, I'm a terrorist. Now let me go to jail. You admit to anything. They probably spent so much time focusing on the bullshit that the fucking nut jobs that blew up the Ariana Grande concert, those psychopaths who went, actually the ones who were down on London Bridge were being monitored, but not very well apparently. Like, I mean, think about all the ones who were being monitored and then actually carried out atrocities anyway. What were you doing? I mean, that's a debate for another time. Half the shit they go on about. It's so easy to just find something when you're looking for it. The police and the security services have become like Illuminati conspiracy nuts when they just see a triangle. They'll see a triangle in a photograph. You know, Beyonce will be sat there, there's a triangle behind her. See? I have Horus. Or they'll, Rihanna have a number on a t-shirt. See? That's a reference to the Bible. It's the Illuminati. People do that. They'll say, oh, this means this and this means this. Did you see the performance by Beyonce at the Super Bowl? It was full of satanic imagery. The police, the media, and the national securities agencies are doing the same thing. Okay? They are conspiracy nuts. They're just seeing things that they want to see. And they go, yep, told you. Because it's easy. And then they go, we told you there was loads of white supremacists. Well, it's very easy when you can label everyone a fucking white supremacist. Then you really are doing your job. Do you know what I mean? Taxstone wasn't a blood. The Juggalos aren't a dangerous gang. So Solid Crew were not gang leaders. Okay? It's nonsense. It's nonsense. Think about that. It's all been orchestrated. It's just manufactured nonsense just to justify. Maybe it's not their fault because everyone, gets spurred on by the media and then the security forces and the police have to show that they're doing something, even though they're like, well, nothing's really going on. But okay, we'll do that then, I suppose. Maybe. It's a debate for another time. But half this shit, there's nothing. There's no white supremacists. There's probably no terrorists. You tell me, when you meet an actual Nazi or white supremacist, you'll be very surprised. The same way as a conspiracy nut who actually would meet a fucking reptile. Imagine you just go to Balmoral and there's a fucking bunch of reptiles walking around. You'd be like, oh my God, it's actually real. But you've spent years going, yeah, fucking they are reptiles though, innit? And then when you actually see the reptiles, you'd be like, fuck, they're actually real. What the fuck? That's like white supremacists and terrorists. When you actually would meet one, which would be very rare, you'd be like, oh, shit, they're fucking real. Because there's fuck all of them. There's probably more lizards than there are white supremacists. Yeah. Well, technically, right, I've got 5 lizards living in this room. Geckos. Anyway, look, I'll leave it there for now. Now, I would like you to go to my website. I don't want you to subscribe. I want you to share, but I don't need to subscribe. I'd rather everyone just goes to my new website, the link will be down there, and sign up for the newsletter, because I am in control about when you get notified about my beautiful work. And there's plenty of great content on that website. It's going to be a great thing. I'm hitting this nail on the head early. I started this thing not too long ago, and I'm thinking ahead. I'd rather you go there. This is the future. Microcosms. We don't need these big silly corporations. YouTube to me and similar, it's just a server. It's a server. It's a server where I store my shit. It's a server. It's a free server. Fantastic. It's free. I don't need their fucking monetization. Come over to my website, baby. PlanetRebus.com, bitch. It's just PlanetRebus.com. There's no bitch at the end of that. Don't type that in. because I don't know what you'll find. Maybe I'll buy that domain now, actually, just in case you actually click on it. Okay. But thank you for your time. It's been much appreciated. And remember, if you're out there and you're seeing things that aren't really there, you know, you're probably reading too much crap on the internet. So stop that, all right? Be good to each other. And see you later.